What's up, guys? Bryce here with the little World Series preview. If you haven't heard, the Texas Rangers are in the World Series. They're playing the San Francisco Giants. Hopefully, you're interested in baseball. Hopefully, you're super into this series. Um, I just wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about what the keys to the series are. Compare the Giants and the Rangers, who I think is going to win. This is actually my second time to do this video. YouTube gives me a 15-minute limit, and I ran over that limit when I was about halfway through. So um, I'll be hitting the points much faster, just giving you a real slim outline of both teams um, and some things about them. First off, I'm just going to start off comparing kind of the different aspects of these teams. I'll start with pitching. Um, when I compare the starting pitching of the Giants and the Rangers, I have to give a slight edge to the Giants. They've won on pitching all year. Their pitching's been one of the best in the leagues. Um, in the league, their game one starter is Tim Lincecum. He's a two-time reigning NL Cy Young winner. Um, he's been one of the best pitchers in the league for the last 3 years. Just a strikeout king. Their game two pitcher is Matt Cain, and he's actually probably been a little bit better than Lincecum this year, and he's been outstanding in the playoffs. Matt Cain, really good pitcher. Game three, they have Jonathan Sanchez, um, a really young guy with electric stuff, but really inconsistent. So I mean, this guy, when he's on his best, he can no hit you, and he does have a no hitter. I can't remember if it was this year or last year, but he did throw a no hitter. I think it was last year. And their game four starting pitcher is Madison Bumgarner. I don't know a whole lot about him. I know he's been really good this year. He's been good at times, but um, he is young and inexperienced, so I don't think he's a guy that we're too worried about. Uh, for the Rangers, I'm sure you all know about Cliff Lee. Um, he's making history in the postseason as we speak. I mean, um, his body of work isn't as large as some of the other great postseason pitchers like a Kurt Schilling or um, a Whitey Ford, those guys, but in the body of work that he does have, he's been as good as anyone. And game two, we have C.J. Wilson, who's pitched really well. Had his kind of his first off game of the postseason um, when the Yankees beat him in game five. It was, I believe. Um, and but he's been really good, and hopefully he'll be good again. We have Colby Lewis, who's been outstanding this postseason. Shut down the Yankee lineup twice, pitched well against the Rays in the ALDS. And then we have Tommy Hunter throwing game four, who has struggled this postseason. And he's known as a big game pitcher. He's young, a little bit inexperienced, so I would say he's probably the biggest question mark of our starting rotation. So I would give a slight edge to the overall starting pitching of the Giants. When I talk about the offenses, I will mention why I think the Ranger pitchers will actually fare better, but that has more to do with the hitters that they're facing than it does just the pitchers up against each other. So um, bullpen, the Giants have one of the best bullpens in the league. I definitely give the edge to their bullpen over the Rangers. One of the best closers this year, Brian Wilson. They have going for them. He's been outstanding this postseason. I think he has 7 saves and hasn't allowed an earned run all postseason. And then their eighth inning and other late relievers, I probably have them over ours. That's actually what I think is kind of the one weakness of the Rangers is the lack of a eighth inning power pitcher. Um, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Comparing the offenses, the Rangers take this one, no doubt. We can hurt you all the way up and down our lineup. I think we had the best average in the American League this year. Um, we have a lot more power than the Giants. I know that we ended the season, we both had 162 home runs this year. That's kind of a weird coincidence, but um, Nelson Cruz, one of our biggest power hitters, spent about a third of the season on the DL, and so I mean he definitely could have been a guy that could have had 35, 38 home runs if he'd have been healthy. Ian Kinsler probably spent a third of the season on the DL. He hit 31 home runs last year, so this year he only had 8. He didn't really have enough consistent, solid time to hit the home runs like he's used to hitting, which isn't necessarily an awful thing because he did hit for a lot better average and probably a lot better on base percentage, and so that's probably more important to us. But don't be misled by the fact that we hit the same number of home runs as the Giants throughout the year. Um, I mean, we have a lot more power than the Giants do. We're much better base runners, steal a lot more bases, much more aggressive. Um, I can't think of one facet of offense that the Giants outdo the Rangers or even really come close to how good the Rangers are. And I'll go into a little more depth with that and how our offense is going to be so dangerous here in a couple minutes. But that's offenses. The defenses. Um, I think the Rangers have a really solid defense. We have a couple holes. One is Michael Young on the hot corner at third base. His defense has gotten progressively worse um, since being in the league. He's won some Gold Gloves when he used to play shortstop, and he actually came to the Rangers as a second baseman. So he's changed positions twice. So I don't exactly blame him for having kind of subpar defense, but so we have him at third, and then we have Vlad Guerrero, who's going to play in right field anytime the game is in San Fran, and that's because the games that are in the NL they won't have a DH. So in order for Vlad to be in the lineup, we have to play him in the field. Um, I'm not very worried about Vlad's defense. It's not as sharp as it once was, but he still has a cannon. And so with Josh Hamilton and Nelson Cruz in the outfield, along with Vlad Guerrero or either Jeff Francoeur, and David Murphy will probably get some time. But anyways, the Giants are going to be reluctant to try and score from second on a single and try and get to third from first, or because our guys have hoses, and they really, I mean, they throw guys out and they do it really well. So um, other than that, the Rangers have a stellar defense. Ian Kinsler and Elvis Andrus, I mean, this may be a little biased, but they have to be considered one of the best middle infields defensively in all of baseball. Mitch Moreland has played really good defensively. He's quite a bit better at defense than Justin Smoke. I wouldn't say either of those guys are as good as Chris Davis, but obviously Chris Davis just hasn't been able to hit for the last 2 years. So, and Mitch Moreland has hit really well. So, um, all around, I think our defense is much better than the Giants. Their defense has just been awful, and so I don't know how they beat a team like the Phillies with defense as bad as theirs is. But I mean, even at catcher, they have young and experienced Buster Posey, who's a star, a stud, but Benji Molina is a great defensive catcher. So. Um, um, some keys to this series, mainly from the Rangers side. The most important player hitting wise for the Rangers, I think, is Elvis Andrus. If Elvis continues to hit and get on base and run the bases the way that he has in this postseason so far, I think the Giants are going to have a really hard time keeping us from scoring runs, and there's no way the Giants can keep up with us in a shootout. So their only hope is to keep us off the scoreboard. Um, the reason why Elvis, it's so important for him to get hits and get on base is because he has Michael Young, Josh Hamilton, Vlad Guerrero, and Nelson Cruz right after him. And Josh is hitting as good as anyone right now. He's the MVP of the league, NLCS MVP. I mean, he's the best player in baseball. And so as long as Elvis continues to get on base, what that does is that brings up Josh Hamilton in RBI situations. And I don't know how much y'all watch the Yankee series, but they started to make a living off intentionally walking Hamilton. And sure enough, it came back to bite them. Vlad Guerrero led the league in 2-out RBIs this year with 52. He had 115 RBIs on the year. He's an RBI king. He always has been. Right after him is Nelson Cruz, and if he hadn't spent time on the DL, Nelson Cruz could possibly have MVP numbers. He has as much raw power as anyone, and Nelson Cruz can. I mean, I think he's hit 5 or 6 or 7, something like that, home runs this postseason, and he's also hit at least 3 or 4 off the top of the wall. So I mean, Nelson Cruz has just been hitting really well. The other key for the Rangers is Derek Holland. He's kind of our guy that we're almost treating him as a starting pitcher. I think he prepares for certain games kind of like a starting pitcher would prepare, because he's kind of our insurance policy. You know, if C.J. Wilson or Tommy Hunter has to come out early in the 3rd or 4th or 5th inning, we expect Derek Holland to be able to pitch 3 or 4 innings out of the bullpen for us. So, and he's done incredible this postseason. He's kind of one of our young prospects that's come through the league or come through our farm system the last 3 years, and had some starting time for us last year and was incredible at times, struggled at times, but um, if Derek Holland is needed and put into a situation where he has to get us from the 3rd inning to the 7th inning or something like that, I think he's going to be one of the most important players for this Rangers team. I'm running out of time, but I'll wrap up with a couple more things. I think the biggest weakness for the Rangers is the lack of an 8th inning guy. We should have Frank Francisco. He's a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. Really good bullpen guy. Started as our closer. With the 8th inning guy, you need a guy that can throw hard, can throw strikes, and can throw a changeup or a cutter. And we don't really have that. We have Darren O'Day, who I think is kind of more of a righty specialist. He's been really good. And then we have Darren Oliver, who he throws low 90s. So if his command isn't right there, which it hasn't been this postseason, then you're in trouble. So if we get into some close games in the 8th inning, I would say that's our biggest concern right now. We did put Mark Lowe on this roster, who may get some time in the 8th inning. I don't know, but he doesn't have a whole lot of experience. Um, my ultimate call for this series is I have the Rangers in 6, and I would say that's even being a little conservative. I mean, I really think the Rangers will probably win in 5, and I hope they do, because that puts them winning at home and the big celebration at home, which would be really special. I think we outmatch the Giants in almost every aspect, and we're going to have to play really bad, or they're going to have to get really lucky to win this series. So I understand the way baseball works. The best team on paper doesn't always come out with a victory, but I do like our chances. So I'll end with one more thing. All of you have been following Cliff Lee and the fact that he's a free agent, and we don't know if we're going to be able to keep him next year. I did read an article that's actually posted on my Facebook if you want to check it out, but I think our chances of signing Cliff Lee next year have gone from about 30 or 40% earlier in the year to about 60 or 70% chance to keep him. Him and his wife love Texas. They understand how good this Texas team is. They know that we want him. They know that we're going to offer him a lot of money. Go check out that article. It's on my Facebook, Bryce Thompson. And it's real exciting for you that are avid Rangers fans. So go read that article, and hope that, you know, if we sign Cliff Lee for 4 or 5, 6 years, I'm telling you, we're going to be one of the top teams in the league for the next 5 or 6 years, and it's going to be the greatest decade to be a Ranger fan. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I think I'm running out of time. It's probably about to cut off on me. So peace, y'all. Watch the World Series. Game 1 starts tonight, 7 o'clock, and we'll go from there. Go Rangers.